"You're not invited." That's what my dad said, mid-bite, like it was nothing. Like he was telling me we were out of milk, not slicing me out of my own family. The room didn't fall silent. Because no one else spoke to begin with. Ethan, my older brother, looked down at his plate like maybe if he stared hard enough, this moment would vanish. My mom sipped her wine. My younger sister Claire just twirled her fork in her pasta, avoiding eye contact. But me, I just blinked. Dad kept going, like he hadn't just detonated the air. I mean, we all agreed. It's just better that way. No tension. He smirked as he said it. Like it was a joke. Like I was the tension. The birthday trip, the one I had organized, funded, planned down to the gluten-free dessert options, was next weekend. We were supposed to fly out to Napa Valley. Wine tastings, a private chef dinner, 2 nights at an estate I personally booked 6 months ago. Total cost. $5,200. All from my savings. It was supposed to be a surprise gift for Dad's 60th. A way to say, see, I do care. I'm trying. I want to belong. And now I wasn't even invited. Good to know, I said. Calm. Collected. Not a crack in my voice. Dad raised an eyebrow. Don't make it a thing, Riley. It's just family trying to keep things simple. Right, I said. Simple. I wiped my mouth. Folded my napkin. Pushed back my chair. No one stopped me. No one spoke. As I reached the door, Dad added, "And hey, let's not get petty about the money, okay? It's not about that." I smiled. That smile I give before someone learns the hard way that I'm not as sweet as they think I am. Of course not, I said. It's not about the money. I walked out into the night, no tears, no scene, just the sound of betrayal settling quietly into my bones. I drove home, opened my laptop, logged into the travel booking portal. Every single reservation had a cancellation window. We were still within it. I hovered for a moment. Then clicked, cancel all. $5,200. Refunded. Next, I opened my banking app and transferred every cent of that money back into my primary account, including the rental deposits and a gift I had pre-ordered. I drafted an email with the subject line. Trip terminated. Body. You are free to celebrate how you choose, just not on my dime. Best, Riley. Sent. Then I turned off my phone, took a deep breath, and let the silence wrap around me like armor. My name is Riley Monroe. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Because the night my family decided I wasn't invited, I became someone they would never forget. Not through shouting, but through subtraction. Growing up, I was the easy one. Not because I was easy to love, but because I didn't ask for much. Ethan was the golden boy, straight A's, varsity everything, Dad's mini-me. Claire was the baby, delicate, artistic, always needing protection. And me. I was the one who handled her own dentist appointments. The one who remembered birthdays, even when no one remembered mine. I figured out taxes before I was old enough to drink. I was the responsible one. The one they didn't have to worry about. So they didn't. When Dad needed help planning Mom's 50th, I booked the caterer, designed the invites, and handled the payments on my credit card. When Aiken totaled his car, I co-signed for the rental because he was in a bind. Claire needed help paying tuition after a bad breakup. I wired $3,000 without blinking. Not once did I ask for it back. Not once did they offer. Because I wasn't the one who needed help. I was the one they leaned on. And the thing about leaning on someone for too long. Eventually, they get tired of holding you up. I thought maybe the trip would shift something. Dad's 60th was supposed to be the olive branch. The grand gesture. I booked every detail down to his favorite bourbon being stocked in the minibar. I even requested a special playlist for the car service to play when he landed. I did it all quietly. Because that's how I was raised, be the glue, not the spotlight. But glue doesn't get applause. It gets used. And when it cracks, they replace it without a second thought. The real sting wasn't in being disinvited. It was in how casual it was. We all agreed. Like I was some complication they needed to manage. Like I wasn't the one keeping their fragile web from collapsing. After I cancelled the trip, I sat in bed and thought about every time I showed up for them. And every time they didn't show up for me. When I got my first promotion, no one called. When I moved into my new apartment, I unpacked every box alone. When I was sick for 3 weeks last winter and needed soup and silence, no one came. But Ethan's texts got answers in seconds. Claire's moods were family emergencies. Me, I was strong. A word they used like a leash. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and toasted myself. Not out of pride. Out of grief. Because I finally saw it clearly. I wasn't part of the family. I was adjacent to it. Useful. Reliable. Replaceable. But not belonging. And now they were about to find out what happened when the afterthought daughter finally thought of herself first. No drama. No revenge. Just consequences. Quite ones. And trust me, they echo the loudest. It came at raat ke 10:47. A text from my dad. Hey, just wanted to follow up. It's probably best you don't show up at the party. Less tension that way. Hope you understand. That was it. No, thank you, for organizing the entire trip. No, sorry, for blindsiding me at dinner. Just a cold, clinical boundary from the same people who had never respected mine. I stared at the screen, reading the message over and over. Hope you understand. What exactly did he think I was supposed to understand? That I was inconvenient. That being around me was somehow a risk. That removing me from the celebration, the one I planned, was for their peace. I didn't cry. I thought I would. But I didn't. Instead, I opened the vacation folder on my desktop and highlighted every line item I had organized. Flights for 5. Estate rental confirmation. Chef deposit. Custom cake order, vanilla bourbon with dark chocolate ganache, Dad's favorite. And then I opened my banking app again. A new notification. $5,200 refunded, pending clearance. I had it all back. The money. The power. The peace. I took a screenshot of the refund confirmation. Just for me. Proof that when you remove me from the guest list, you also lose access to the gift bag. Then I opened my email and found a group thread I'd created weeks ago. Subject, Dad's 60th birthday, itinerary finalized. I hit, reply all. Deleted the original message. Typed a single sentence. Plans have changed. The trip is cancelled. Good luck figuring out your own celebration. Attached the refund screenshot. Hit send. Then I texted Dad back. You are right. Less tension this way. Enjoy the party, if it happens. No emojis. No exclamation point. Just enough edge to let him know that the girl they used to rely on. She would checked out. And she wasn't coming back. Then I powered off my phone. No more messages. No more justifications. I lit a candle. Put on my softest hoodie. Watched the quiet fill my apartment like a balm. They had made their decision. I had made mine. And now, we were all going to sit with the aftermath. Except I had wine, Netflix, and a full refund. And they had a birthday disaster on the horizon, and no one left to fix it. I woke up to silence. The kind that follows a bomb, not the kind that brings peace. My phone stayed off. I needed one more morning to myself, free from their guilt grenades and manipulative group chats. I made breakfast. Took a long shower. Watered my plants. Then, at subah ke 11:02, I turned my phone back on. It lit up like a Christmas tree on fire. Voicemails. Missed calls. Texts stacked like dominoes. 23 missed calls. 17 from Dad. 2 from Mom. 4 from Ethan. Claire hadn't called, which somehow made it worse. But what stopped me cold wasn't the number of calls. It was the message that sat quietly between the alerts. From Ethan. They are freaking out. I didn't agree to that. Please talk to me. That was it. No drama. No defense. Just quiet recognition that I hadn't imagined it all. Someone else had noticed the smirk, the dismissal, the unfairness. Still, I didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, I opened my inbox. One new email. Subject: Trip termination confirmed. It was official. The flights were refunded. The estate booking cancelled. Chef. Released. I had called the whole thing off, and every penny was mine again. I clicked through the details one more time, watching the transactions roll back like I was reversing time. They thought they could erase me from the weekend. But I had erased the weekend. I scrolled to the group chat. Dozens of new messages. Claire. Wait, did Riley really cancel everything? Dad. Riley, this is immature. You knew this was for the family. Mom, we didn't mean for it to come out that way. You misunderstood. Claire again. This is a nightmare. The wine estate is fully booked now. What are we even doing? Then finally, Ethan. She planned everything. Paid for it. And you cut her out. What did you expect? I stared at that last message for a long time. It wasn't vindication. Not exactly. But it was a crack in the wall. The beginning of the collapse. I screenshot the entire thread. Not to post. Just to remember. Because sometimes, you need to look back and see the moment when people stopped pretending you were the problem and started realizing you were the backbone. I brewed another cup of coffee. Sat by my window. Watched the clouds shift and thought. They built the party without me. But forgot who built the foundation. And when I pulled my support, it all came crashing down. By the next morning, the group chat had gone quiet. The kind of quiet that always follows a storm, when the power's out, and everyone's pretending they weren't the ones who pulled the wires. I scrolled through the final messages. Dad had stopped texting. Mom hadn't replied to Ethan's defense. Claire was Mia. Her version of damage control was always silence. But Ethan. He messaged me directly at subah ke 7:14. Can I come over? I waited 15 minutes. Then typed back. 1 hour. No lies. At 8:08 on the DOT, he knocked. No flowers. No fake apology. Just my older brother, standing in the doorway like a man finally ready to speak without hiding behind the word, family. I stepped aside. He walked in slowly, hands in his hoodie pockets like a teenager again. We sat at my kitchen island. He didn't ask for coffee. Didn't make jokes. Just exhaled. I didn't know, he said. I raised an eyebrow. Didn't know they planned to disinvite me. Or didn't know I paid for everything. His shoulders slumped. Both. I said nothing. I found out about the trip last minute, he continued. Mom told me it was handled. Dad just said it was taken care of. I didn't realize you'd funded all of it. I pulled up a folder on my tablet. Slid it across the counter. It was titled, Receipts for Silence. He opened it. Saw the spreadsheets. The deposits. The contracts. Even the birthday card I'd written but never mailed. His face fell. Jesus, he muttered. Yeah. I'm sorry, Riley. I looked him in the eye. Why didn't you say something at dinner? I didn't think they were serious. They were. And you said nothing. He nodded, shame thick in his throat. I have always known they treat you differently, he admitted. I just never knew how deep it went. It went $5,200 deep, Ethan. He flinched. I continued. You all thought I was optional. Background support. But when I walked away, the entire celebration crumbled. He swallowed. I'm not asking you to fix it. I just wanted you to know. I see it now. What you have been carrying. For a moment, I softened. Because I remembered being kids, how he used to sneak me candy when I was grounded, how he let me tag along with his friends even when it annoyed him. He wasn't the enemy. But he'd been a bystander for too long. I didn't need a hero, I said. I just needed a witness. You have one now. He reached into his pocket. Pulled out an envelope. This was for you. From Grandma. She wrote everyone letters before she passed. Mom never gave yours to you. My breath caught. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside, a card in Grandma's shaky handwriting. Riley. They won't always see your worth. But that doesn't mean it's not shining. You were never hard to love. You were just hard to control. And that scared them. Love always. Grandma. The tears came. Not for the family that betrayed me, but for the woman who saw me, even when I wasn't invited to the table. I looked up at Ethan. Thank you, I said. He nodded. You deserved to hear that. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Because I hadn't just reclaimed my money. I'd reclaimed me. 3 days after Ethan left my apartment, the ripple effect hit full force. It started small, a tagged photo I didn't expect. Ethan had posted a throwback of the two of us as kids, sitting in a blow-up pool, smiles wide and wild. The caption. She's always been the glue. Sorry it took me this long to say it. It was subtle. Quiet. But the comments lit up. Aunt Marlene. Wait, Riley planned a trip. Cousin Jamie. This explains so much. Good on you, man. Even Mom's friend Janet commented. I knew something felt off about the party talk. Poor Riley. I didn't post anything. I didn't have to. Ethan's one gesture opened the door, and what came flooding in was decades of hushed acknowledgments finally finding words. I started receiving texts from extended family. I never knew you paid for Claire's tuition. Your mom told us the vacation was a gift from your dad's company. You deserve better, Riley. I responded to none of them. Because the time for validation had passed. I wasn't interested in being seen now that I was gone. But I did make one move. I uploaded a single Google Drive folder, titled, What Riley Paid For. It wasn't public. Just sent directly to the family group chat, no commentary, no warning. Inside, neatly labeled PDFs of every major expense I'd quietly covered for the family over the last 7 years. Ethan's car rental after the accident. Claire's emergency tuition deposit. The wine tour, the rental property, the chef, the flights. Even a $700 emergency vet bill for mom's dog, which she swore she would handle next month. The document ended with a simple line. Not for reimbursement. Just for record. Next time you divide the guest list, remember who footed the bill. Claire messaged first. I didn't know about half of this. I'm sorry. I left it on read. Mom didn't message me at all. But I did get a call from a private number later that night. I didn't answer. The voicemail was brief. Dad, clearing his throat. We were wrong. You didn't deserve that. I know saying sorry isn't enough. I don't expect you to forgive us. Just know that we are sitting with it now. Sitting with it. Good. Because I'd sat with it for years. The birthdays I spent alone. The way every celebration was an obligation I funded but wasn't invited to enjoy. The silence they gave me in return for my sacrifices. Now, let them sit in the silence I left behind. Let them sit in the reality where I was no longer their financial safety net, their party planner, their invisible fixer. Because I had pulled the curtain back. And what they saw wasn't just the receipts. It was the reality. I was the one who kept them from falling apart, not with nerves, but with quiet, consistent love. Love they mistook for obligation. But that chapter was closed now. And the next one. It had my name on the door. I spent Dad's birthday weekend exactly how I wanted. Alone. And unbothered. The Sam Vineyard estate I'd reserved for the family. I rebooked it for one. Just me. They lost their invitation. I claimed the destination. The moment I stepped onto the property, the concierge greeted me with a puzzled smile. We were expecting 5 guests. Change of plans, I said. The guest list shrank, but the celebration got better. I spent the first day sipping aged Cabernet on a private balcony, curled up in a cashmere throw, watching the hills roll with the wind. No tension. No guilt. No one asking what time the shuttle was coming. The chef I'd hired? Still on call. I texted my preferences. He prepared an exquisite solo dinner, seared salmon, wild mushroom risotto, creme brulee. I toasted with sparkling rosé under the stars. To endings, I whispered, glass raised. To the silence I no longer have to explain. The next day, I booked a massage, then wandered the vineyard rows barefoot, laughing with the staff who asked if I was celebrating something. I told them yes. Freedom. Later that night, I took a photo, the fire pit behind me, wine in hand, no makeup, just peace. Then I posted it to Instagram with the caption, "I wasn't invited to the party, so I threw my own." Funny how you celebrate louder when you are not paying for someone else's silence. By morning, it had 12,000 likes. Strangers flooded the comments. "This is art. Teach me your ways. You are my new role model." They didn't deserve a seat at your table anyway. Even Ethan commented, "Proud of you." Claire messaged too. "That post hit me hard. I hope someday we talk. For real." I didn't reply. Not out of anger. But because sometimes, the best reply is space. I checked my inbox. An invitation from a women's conference to speak on financial boundaries and reclaiming identity. Subject line: "Your story matters. And others need to hear it." I stared at it for a long time. Then clicked accept. That evening, I walked down to the private tasting room where the staff had set up a birthday cake for me. Not because it was my actual birthday, but because I requested it. Because I finally understood something profound. Celebration isn't about balloons or invites or other people saying your name. It's about claiming your worth, loudly, softly, and without apology. And I wasn't just celebrating a cancelled party. I was honoring the girl who used to beg to be seen. She didn't beg anymore. She booked the room. It was a week later when he showed up. I was back home, sipping tea in my robe, scrolling through my inbox of speaking offers and kind messages from strangers who would seen my post. And then, a knock. Not urgent. Not loud. Just steady. I opened the door to find Ethan standing there, hands in his jacket, eyes tired but clearer than I'd ever seen them. "I figured you'd open it," he said. "No one else would." I stepped aside. Silent. He handed me something wrapped in tissue paper. A small package. I peeled it open slowly. Inside was a framed photo. Me, Grandma, and Ethan, taken 10 years ago at the lake house. I'd forgotten this photo even existed. I was laughing in it. Not smiling politely, laughing. Mouth open, joy real. "Grandma always kept that one on her dresser," he said. "After she passed, Mom packed it away. I found it in storage." I stared at it, throat tight. "She saw you," Ethan continued. "Always did." I placed the frame gently on the entry table. Then crossed my arms. "Why are you really here, Ethan?" He met my gaze. "To say what they won't," he said. "That we failed you. Not just with the trip, with everything. We made you feel optional. But you never were. You were the core." I didn't cry. But something shifted inside me, like a door creaking open that had long been locked. "I don't need an apology," I said softly. "I needed this. Truth. Without the strings." He nodded. "There are no strings left. Just regret. And maybe hope." He handed me one more thing. A folded letter. Dad's handwriting. "Riley, you didn't deserve the way we treated you. I thought being tough on you meant you'd never break. But I see now, I was breaking you just by expecting you to hold everything. I'm sorry. I was wrong. You deserved better than the silence we gave you. No manipulation. No, but just a man who finally understood the damage he helped create." I folded the letter carefully. Then looked Ethan in the eyes. "I'm not coming back," I said. "Not to fix. Not to rescue. If I come back, it'll be as a guest. Not a lifeline." He smiled. "You have always been more than a lifeline, Riley. You were the lighthouse." I didn't know what to say to that. So I hugged him. Briefly. Tightly. Then I closed the door. Not in anger, in peace. I walked to the living room and placed the photo beside Grandma's letter. Sat on the couch. Let the sun spill over me. I had no party to plan. No crisis to manage. No guilt to carry. Just space. And in that space, I finally heard the quiet I'd been searching for all my life. Not absence. Not exile. But clarity. Because I wasn't disinvited. I just chose not to sit where I was never respected. And when I walked out, I didn't leave the family. I left the fiction. And in doing so, I wrote something real.